What's up, YouTube? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. I missed you guys. Hey, listen, first and foremost, I want to just let you guys know that I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the huge uprise in subscriptions. It means the world to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. I feel the energy, I feel the love, and I'm just trying to really just reciprocate the same energy that you guys are reciprocating to me. So, I just want to let you guys know that I see you, and I do this for you guys, and I love it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But as you guys know, I'm back with another one. This video right here is going to be a comparison with this particular movie on hard disk. It is a 4K UHD DVD playing on a 4K UHD DVD player. Plus, it does have Dolby Vision HDR10, HDR10 Plus, and so on and so forth. So, now, let me just talk briefly before I start this comparison that, as full disclosure, when you're watching this comparison, the DVD will automatically default, of course, to Dolby Vision. So, as you guys know, the Sony A95L and the LG G3 support Dolby Vision. So, that's what you're going to see, and then it'll automatically default to HDR10 through the S95C. So, with that being said, you have the S95C all the way to the left. You have the A95L right there, dead center in the middle, and then you have the LG G3 all the way to the right. All three panels are in the same size, 77 inches. Let's get started. So anyways, what I will say before we get into it is you're going to notice, just like anything else, they're going to trade blows, all right? And what I mean by that is you're going to see some advantages that the S95C has over both the A95L and the G3. And you're also going to see advantages vice versa with all three panels against each other. I will tell you right now, just right off the bat, that I do think overall the A95L does have the better picture, but I can definitely see how somebody would beg to differ if they were to say they like the way the LG G3 looks better. They both have Dolby Vision, they both have a lot of similarities, and they both have great detail and processing. The S95C is an HDR10. It does have its advantages, being that it's running through in HDR10, things like brightness and things like that. But I will tell you guys, I just don't see how you'd be able to choose the S95C over these two TVs because of the detail. It really is just a different level. The processing on the A95L is just top notch. The processing on the G3 is right there neck and neck, in my personal opinion, with the A95L. Again, there are going to be some differences that you notice. And another thing that I do want to talk about before I get into it as well, specifically about Dolby Vision on the A95L, I am noticing that it is looking a little bit out of context, doesn't look completely normal to me, that as far as what I'm used to. And I really notice it more when I'm streaming than when I'm playing a hard disk. But what I'm noticing is when you're streaming and let's say Netflix, and then the TV receives that Dolby Vision signal, all of a sudden, I think it all of a sudden just kind of starts to band a little bit. You start to see some banding, but when I play a Dolby Vision movie through hard disk, I don't see any banding. It looks great. And another thing that I'm noticing, whether I'm streaming or playing hard disk, is I am seeing through Dolby Vision on the A95L specifically some kind of like green kind of tint in dark scenes. It doesn't look like that's normal to me, but again, I could be completely wrong. I have no clue. So that is a little bit out of my expertise. I'm just letting you guys know what I'm personally noticing. So correct me if I'm wrong or whatever the case is, but that's what I'm noticing. So let's get started with that being said. I'm not going to get too much into the settings. I just really want to let you guys know they are out the box pretty much um, set. I didn't really want to mess around with any of the settings. I just wanted to kind of show you guys what these TVs look like out the box um, in their natural setup. So I can tell you guys right now that as you can see, the ABL pretty much aggressively kicks in when you're looking all the way to the right. So I'm going to try to fix that. But what I can tell you guys is as far as color goes, let me just explain something really quick. As far as color goes, the vibrancy out of the A95L is just a different level. It really is. I don't like it could be a combination obviously of the processing and the clarity, things like that, but I mean, you don't have to even have reality creation on or live color on. Just natively, Sony just did something just magical. And you know, it's hard to explain. You have to really see it in person, but put it this way. When I first purchased the G3, I compared it to the A95K because the A95K was just the TV. It was the best TV of the year last year, right? So I was just like, okay, let's see what the new 2023 G3 and how that stacks up against last year's best TV. And I thought by far, and I demonstrated as best as I can, that the LG G3 has better detail, right? In movies, video games, every aspect. I just saw more detail out of the G3 period. Now we have the A95L next to the G3 and you can just see the improvements that Sony made. And oh my God, guys, it really took TV watching to another level that no other TV can possibly do. And let me just say that I loved I loved the picture so much that even with those little things that I was talking about before in Dolby Vision that I'm noticing, especially with the streaming and the banding, it still trumps what you see between all three TVs, regardless. And the reason why is because the processing is just so great. Now, I will say the motion processing still, I personally think, needs a little bit of improvement, but I am more sensitive to motion. I do notice judder more often in the A95L over the G3. But again, I don't know if anybody else notices it like that. I think some people do put in the comments that they are very sensitive to motion as well, and they see what I'm seeing as well, and they totally agree. Some people say no, but again, everyone's different in that aspect. But let me just tell you guys that as far as clarity goes and color goes, the Sony A95L definitely has it down the best natively. You don't need any extra settings or processing to be turned on for it to get the picture that it gets over the S95C and the G3. Now, that doesn't mean that it's always the winner. I just think that overall it is the overall better picture quality. There's times where the black details look better again, my personal opinion, through the G3. And I do believe that, especially when you start dialing in and fine tuning and things like that, you start to really see how the G3 can basically beat in some aspects the A95L. And I was really just doing a Dolby Vision comparison, but again, that's what I was seeing. Now, when I put the two TVs in HDR10, the A95L and the G3, then it became a different story. So now it starts to become an HDR versus HDR a thing. So I would say that on both TVs, I earlier, like yesterday, I was dialing in my settings, right? And I did a little short video saying I was dialing in my settings. Now, when I was dialing in my settings, I was dialing in my settings through the HDR10 signal. And the I would say that the G3 in HDR10 looked brighter than the A95L, but the colors were just slightly more washed out. Not very, not by big difference. I mean, a very minuscule amount or a very small percentage where it was more washed out. And it depended on the colors at that point too. Like particularly the blues or the pink shades and things like that, they just looked a little bit more washed out. Now, some can say washed out means more natural, and some can say, um, the more pink looks oversaturated and not washed out, and then that's supposed to look natural. Everybody's different in those opinions, but I will tell you guys, as far as detail goes within the colors, I personally think that they're, depending on what color you're looking at, it's pretty neck and neck, giving the A95L a very slight edge due to their due to their image processing. And again, it does depend on what you're viewing. So like right now, if you look all the way to the left, the S95C, the picture looks flat in HDR10 compared to the A95L and the G3. Although it might be slightly brighter, it is more washed out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. So I'm sorry about that long explanation, but let's just go ahead and hit play. We're going to get to a couple of scenes here where there's probably more. All right. So now, right here. All right, so this is where I really like to talk about brighter scenes. As you can tell, in the background is daytime. They're in the jungle. There's green. There's green scenery. There's skylight. There's highlights, and there's color on the transformers. As you can tell, the G3 looks to me the more natural color, and I do believe that this has to do with something going on with Dolby Vision or something going on with the Sony A95L in Dolby Vision, whether it's a handshake thing, I don't know, but I just feel like in Dolby Vision right now as it stands, the G3 looks better in these scenes. The highlights look better, the details look equal, and it looks more natural on the G3 without losing details. So the grass looks greener or looks like a more natural color. And at the same time, the imperfections on the transformer look better. But I will tell you, color wise, if you look at his eyes on the A95L and the G3, they're going to look similar probably through the camera. There is more color in the A95L through his eyes than there is on the G3. All the way to the left, you're watching it in HDR10. Now, that might look like the overall brighter picture, but if you were to look at it in person, it would not be as enjoyable as the next two TVs, the A95L and the G3. But I think in this particular scene, the G3 is definitely showing up. So just wanted to kind of point that out. All right, so let's go ahead. Boom. All right, now you guys know how big I am on the explosion scenes. You guys know how like fireball scenes and things like that to me really show what a TV can do. Um, and guys, I'm telling you right now, all three TVs look amazing in their own way. All right. But when you look in the middle at the A95L, it is the perfect combination of both TVs right now as you're looking right straight through where that fireball is that just hit the ground. There's more detail, right? There is more color vibrancy and more clarity all around. You don't get that on the S95C. There's less detail. There's not as much color or color vibrancy, and there's not as much clarity. It looks more washed out. On the right, it's neck and neck. Um, I do like the clarity. I do like the way the color looks, but it is definitely not as vibrant as the A95L. The A95L is just attractive. It just draws you in. You can't do anything about it. So kudos to Sony for that. I just can't believe how like much of an improvement there was compared to last year. It's like it only took them one time to learn what they got to do and perfect their craft. It's amazing. So their quality control, whoever runs their picture quality or whatever you want to call it, whatever engineer it is, whoever you guys are, wow, you really do master the art of picture quality. So thank you for that because this is amazing right here. Um, but yeah, so as you can see, there's certain times where the G3 will look better over the A95L, and the A95L will look better than the LG G3 in Dolby Vision, and then in the S95C with HDR10 on. I just don't think that the processing on the S95C is as good, anyways, on either of these TVs. And I've always been saying that since the very beginning. But it does have its advantages. But I just kind of feel like they kind of missed the bus on, trying to retain their customers and just kind of threw a TV out there. Yes, it's a QD OLED, and here you go, and that's what you got. Uh, no quality control over image or anything like that, and the settings are just, bland. It's more like a plug and play type of TV, and I think that's why they go on sale so fast. Is because they don't care. It's not a flagship TV in their mind, but who knows? I could be completely wrong. So, anyways, let's go to the next scene. All right, so now let's let this play just a second here. All right. Again, I want to talk about this scene right here because there's a lot of detail that I want to talk about. So on the left, on the S95C, it does look a little bit more of a natural picture to me. It really, really does. I get it, but I just feel like if I just wish there was just a little bit more clarity in the S95C. On all the way to the right, as you guys can see, the picture is very clear on a G3. It looks amazing. I mean, it really, really does. It looks pretty much identical to what the A95L looks like. Now, I will say, if you really want to start picking, you'll see that maybe there's slightly more detail on the A95L. That kind of the TV can just pull out more of the picture. Just noticing more details on their bodies and more details, just a little bit more detail. That's all I can really say. But again, the blacks look better. The black levels to me definitely look better on the G3. So, I would definitely say that when you're looking at the TV, the G3 just kind of sticks out. It pops. It has that 3D pop that you don't have in this particular scene in the A95L, or obviously the S95C. Again, this is just what I'm trying to explain what I'm seeing, guys, and just sharing what I'm noticing right now. So that's all I'm doing. All right, so let's go ahead and skip to a whole different part of the movie. Sorry for the cough, guys. I apologize. All right, this is a good scene right here. All right, so now this is when I really like the S95C because the way it brings out, uh, let's say, like a darker picture in the city like this, it really does just look flashy. Um, and like the skylight looks really nice. The lights look brighter. I mean, even the blue in the water looks nicer to me and just more colorful in the S95C. So I'm really, really feeling this image right here. So this again, it is an HDR signal, um, and I really do like the way it looks right here. On Again on the A95L, um, you're gonna see more detail, right? Like I definitely see more detail in the water over any of the TVs. But I will say the one to me that is supposed to look more intentional of how the scene is supposed to look is definitely the G3. Um, Although you don't see as much detail in the water or things like that, just the contrast is just perfect. Like it is exactly what I think it should look like. Um, and it is a very, very clear picture for both the A95L and the G3. They are equally clear. The A95L might slightly be a little bit brighter. It might have more color in the background in the sky, but the G3 looks to me a little bit more natural with being able to have more clarity in the darker scenes, more details, and inkier blacks. So I do feel like this might be a Dolby Vision thing on the A95L because I am seeing still a little bit of green tint on there um, through the A95L. And I don't know why, but that's just what I'm noticing. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and hit play. Excuse me again. This scene was hilarious. If you guys haven't seen this movie, Beast Wars Transformers, I'm sorry, not Beast Wars, Rise of the Beast Transformers, you guys are missing out. Just want to see what you guys think. All right, let's go ahead and skip. Right here, this is a good scene. All right, so this scene right here is really nice to go over because if you guys really look close, you're going to notice the S95C is definitely the brighter of the two, but the blacks are raised. Um, and there's a little bit more color banding as well in the S95C. Now, I'm not really noticing any color banding in the A95L, but I'm noticing around the smoke that it's just looking a little bit more raised as far as the blacks go. But if you look at the LGG3, there is more contrast. There is a lot of clarity, and there is more 3D pop in that image right there. So again, the A95L definitely has that 3D pop too, by the way, guys, especially when you're gaming. So don't get it messed up or anything like that. But I will say that I just feel like LG definitely still has the edge when it comes to that 3D image. So just wanted to point that out. But colors, um, you know, this is going to be a personal preference thing for you guys. You let me know what you think. All right, so let's go ahead and skip to the next scene. All right. So here's a good scene. Um, Now you're going to notice again that uh, the brighter image is going to be the S95C. The S95C does look a little bit blown out. Um, and I feel like HDR10, even with the colors put down to, let's say, even 20, still sometimes makes the picture look blown out. But again, that's just what I've been noticing. And I've never really seen a perfectly clear picture through the S95C, unless it was gaming, not, but you know, that's a different story. Um, but as you can see with the A95L, I think it's probably the best happy medium of them all. In this particular image, I'm not noticing as much as that green tint as you normally would through Dolby Vision, but the detail on the G3 is very, very equal to the A95L in this particular scene, and sometimes even better. Like the reflections actually look better on the G3. All right, so let's go ahead, just hit play. Let's go ahead and wait for this part to come up. All right, so now, right here, I paused it here because of the blue eyes. Um, when I'm looking at this picture, I'm thinking again, the A95L does have a little bit of raised blacks in the background. Um, the G3 to me has the better Dolby Vision picture overall. It just has more clarity in this particular scene. And the eyes, the blue in the eyes just look like they're popping out more in the G3. All right. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. Excuse me again. All right, we're going to go ahead and keep rolling along. Let's cut to the next scene. We're going to cut to some brighter scenes, guys. Here's a nice bright scene. Now, it's up to you guys what you think. I know you're probably going to see some green tinting in the brighter scenes on the LG because of the MLA and the way my camera is capturing the image. But just be aware that it is not as green as it looks through the camera. The way it looks in person is just like the way the A95L looks. You are getting nicer reds out of the LG. I'm sorry, not the LG, the A95L, but you are getting more detail out of this picture. So I got to give it to the A95L, man. When the brighter scenes kick in, or when you get a brighter scene image, oh my God, the A95L just does its job. It is amazing. It like you can see the details better, you can see the clarity better. It really is just a phenomenal TV. I've never seen a better picture in my entire life, especially in bright scenes with more detail than I ever have in the A95L. And the LG G3, you guys know how much I love that TV. You do, but you know, on the A95L, they just did their thing. There's just no way around it. They just did their thing, and they made it look easy, you know, and that's the crazy part. And I know it took them a while to come out with their release of the TV, but the wait was well worth it, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Um, if you're an enthusiast, or if you want a TV where you want the best overall experience, guys, I'm sorry to break it to you. I love the LG G3, but if money is no object, right? Or let's say you had to choose one, and you were willing to spend the money on the A95L, and it was between the A95L or the G3, you're probably going to lean towards the A95L. And the other bonus about the A95L, which, I don't mean to get off subject, is the audio. The audio in this thing is just an added bonus that makes you feel even better about your purchase. So, you know, thanks Sony for that, because that's amazing. But the images are very close between two Dolby Vision TVs, two Dolby Vision signal TVs, the A95L and the G3. On the S95C, picture is nice, don't get me wrong, just doesn't have that clarity, that detail, that pop that the A95L has, and it doesn't have you know, that Dolby Vision, just that Dolby Vision algorithm built into it. And HDR10 is nice, don't get me wrong, but HDR10 to me looks better in the A95L and the G3 over the Samsung S95C. But once you have these TVs in your possession, and once you start noticing the little things, you'll notice that the S95C just lacks in detail. The motion is great on it, but the detail it lacks, the settings it lacks. You can't really customize the settings as well, and it just can't get to that level. So let's just say it was between the G3 and the S95C, and you were asking what your overall picture quality is between the two, whether you're streaming, whether you're watching 4K or gaming. I would say the overall better picture performing TV would definitely be the G3. Now, let's say you break it down to gaming. That's going to be a preference thing, because the S95C in gaming is amazing. It really truly is an amazing TV, but that's when it works. If you're going to constantly get dropouts, most likely, you've already seen it all over the internet, and it is just a problem. I can't recommend a TV that just has so many quirky issues like that. It just doesn't make any sense. But when it is working, it is phenomenal, because you have really good HDR or gaming HDR options, and that can get the TV very, very bright and very, very colorful. So if a lot of gamers don't care about color accuracy, but a lot do. But for the people who don't care about color accuracy and want that color pop, 120 or even 144 hertz, you're gonna go with the S95C for gaming. That's just what you're gonna do. So, that's my point on that. So here we go. We're gonna keep switching around. Here we go. Let's go back. That was a good image there. All right, so let's pause it here. All right, guys. I love Optimus Prime, by the way. But anyways, if you guys haven't seen this movie, you have to see it. I'm surprised that you haven't seen it. But all right, details right off the bat, A95L, period. Colors overall, A95L, period. Just has this red that just looks perfect. Brighter image, A95L gets the win. Now, like that 3D pop, I would say is probably a tie actually between the G3 and the A95L. The A95L might even get the slight edge in this type of image. These bright images, when it comes, like I was saying before, with the A95L, it doesn't really even matter whether you're in HDR10 or Dolby Vision. The A95L just exceeds. It really does. It's just, they just know what they're doing when they produce this image. So anyways, on the G3, that's definitely second place for me. The details are very, very almost equal. You can actually probably see some more details in certain parts of Optimus Prime on a G3, like, you know, where his chest is, the windows, right under there where the rust is, you can see a little bit where it looks more dirty than it does on the A95L. But the picture, the red is definitely more washed out, which we all know WOLEDs in reds don't get as red as the A90 as the QD OLEDs do. All the way to the left, I'm sorry I'm not giving the S95C as much attention, but it just doesn't do it for me personally. The picture looks more washed out, not a lot of clarity. So, again, that's just a personal opinion. All right, so we're going to go ahead and skip. Skip again. All right, let's forward this area here of the movie. Excuse me, guys. All right. So this scene here, I'm going to back up a little bit where it's a little bit more clear. All right, now let's wait until we get to that scene again. But what do you guys think so far? What is your personal opinion on this comparison? Do you find that the LG G3 actually looks the best in Dolby Vision over A95L Dolby Vision? Or do you personally think that the S95C, no matter what, looks the best? All right, so here, I just want to stop it really quick. Now that you have a close-up of Optimus Prime's face, the details in the eyes, guys, the vibrancy just pops through the A95L. Now, don't get me wrong, the G3 just looks beautiful. You can't go wrong. You probably wouldn't even notice the difference without the TVs being next to each other like this. But it's just something about the A95L that they just have their magic sauce and they're just killing it. Um, it just looks better in those details. Now, if you look at the faceplate of the G of Optimus Prime on the G3, I actually do see more clarity and more definition there. But the vibrancy just, you know, captures your eyes a lot easier on the A95L. And then, of course, you know, the S95C, it is the brighter picture, don't get me wrong, but it's just not really doing it for me. Um, it still looks flat, even though it has color. It just doesn't do it for me. So let's go ahead. We're gonna let this play a little bit more. Let's just cut to the next scene. All right. This scene, dark scene, again, I'm trying to just let you guys know I'm still seeing that green tint a little bit through the A95L. You can see the blacks are definitely more inky on the G3. So for that reason, I got to go with the G3 in this particular image. But when you look at the S95C, it is the brighter picture. The greens look greener. I like the way it looks better in those scenes, but it just looks a little bit washed out. Not as enjoyable as watching it through either the A95L or the G3. Now, the G3, even though the colors are a little bit more dull in this scene, I still like the way the picture pops, and I think there's just a lot of detail in the G3 right now. So let's go ahead and let's skip. And I'm just going to hit play. All right. So now let's go ahead. We're going to keep going. Here we go. Right here. All right. So The reason why I picked this because there's a lot of different variations as far as contrast goes. I like the way the A95L overall looks the best in this particular scene. Um, the G3 has the cleaner image. I think it has like the color separation the best, but doesn't have all the detail. So I'm more of a detail person. I like the way I feel like the details really show what a brand can do and really show how much they care about what you see because it's the little fine details that count when you buy these TVs. On the S95C, it is the brighter picture. It just looks a little bit more washed out because it's kind of too bright. And just to let you guys know, I toned that down too. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and skip. Oops, sorry. Let's go ahead and keep hitting forward. Trying to get to a scene where there's the Unicron comes. And I just can't remember where that was. Oh, there we go. All right, so let's just wait until he opens up. All right, here's a cool scene right here. So this scene right here, this is what I like about the A95L. Just the processing behind it just really makes the picture pop. There's a lot of detail. Um, there's just the highlights are beautiful. The tone mapping is great. Um, and it just has that pop to it. And it's a good happy medium between the LG G3 and the S95C. It just has it all. It just has everything into one, bundled up in one TV. So I'm just letting you guys know what I see, and I'm hoping that you take it into consideration or whatever whatever you're watching this video for. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that play more. All right, so we're gonna keep going. Right here. Sorry, we're gonna back up a little bit more. All right. Here we go. All right, guys. So we're gonna look at this scene coming up really soon. Um, sorry, this is not the scene. Right here. All right, and I want to talk about skin tones too. So there's definitely more skin there. I would say that the G3 looks a little bit more on the flat side as far as the skin tone goes. I just think the A95L in this particular scene right here, his skin tone looks the best, with the S95C skin tone looking the worst. Now, you can argue that on the right, the skin tone does look a little bit more natural, but I don't really think so. I think his skin looks more natural in the A95L. So that's just what I wanted to say about that. All right, let's keep going. All right, here we go. We're gonna get towards where I wanted to show you guys. Let's see, almost there. All right, right here. It's coming up. Here we go. Yep. Oh, it's coming. Here we go. All right, guys. Pinks. That's what I wanted to get to. All right. So Now, actually, the overall clarity of these three TVs, I gotta go with the G3. It just looks phenomenal. Um, but the pink in the A95L just does it for me. It's just amazing. Um, it does a really good job. And again, the clarity of the two TVs, the A95L and the G3 in Dolby Vision, just looks superb. You really, it's they trade blows, guys. There's no other way to put it. The sky in the background looks more natural on the G3, but the pinks and the colors look better on the A95L. There's just no way around it. The S95C looks great too. Don't get me wrong. It's an awesome picture, but it just doesn't have that detail and clarity that these two TVs have. So that's just the way I feel. Now, one can argue that, you know, the picture quality is always going to be better on the A95L, and they would have a legitimate argument. But it's not always so cut and dry. You have to remember that Sony specializes in their thing, LG specializes in their thing. And I'm just trying to point out some of the advantages over the other. The blacks are definitely more inky in the LG G3 over the A95L. I can't remember if that was the case when you're watching HDR content on the A95L, but I will say that the blacks are definitely more black and they're not as raised. You can kind of see that green tint too still in Dolby Vision. I did not notice that in HDR10. So on the A95L, but I hope that maybe somehow that gets fixed. But I don't know. Details are great, you know, guys. Again, it's up to you. I just think that the S95C is the worst out of the three. The A95L, I do think overall would probably be the best choice, especially with the bonus of the built-in speakers. The G3, um, definitely has the better blacks. It has that I think it just still does have the best 3D pop. The details between the A95L and the G3 are very, very close. Sometimes the G3 has better details over the A95L and vice versa. I just think that they're so darn close that it's just really hard to say which one you would choose. I would think basically overall, being that the A95L is kind of the best of both worlds, where you get the QD OLED color, just not as oversaturated, and then you get the Sony processing, and I just think that maybe it does get the edge as far as which picture is the best, or which TV is overall best. But the A95L again has that edge. It just does with the processing. Their motion, I believe, has gotten better since last year, and gaming has gotten better over the A95K too with a better input lag. So again, it's personal preference at that time. Now, let's just say you're really going for price, then I would recommend the G3, because you get very close image quality, even though it's a W OLED, but you get it at a lower price. And the blacks, to me, definitely can get better in the G3 than the A95L, at least in Dolby Vision. I really haven't seen what it looks like in HDR10 yet. Um, Gaming, the G3 to me gets the edge over all three TVs, but you're talking to somebody who's really more menu settings, who's basing that off of menu settings. The A95L does have a built-in gaming menu, but it's not like a true game optimizer. Um, the S95C has the advantage in gaming as far as HDR selection, but it doesn't give you the option to control black and white stabilizer, game black levels, fine-tune black levels, in-game optimizer. It just doesn't have those fine-tune settings. Basically, the LG has the best gaming menu that you can possibly get to. And here's another thing. I do feel that gaming on the A95L is dark, just like the G3. So if you're going to sit there, so this is what gets me. If you're going to sit there and say that gaming on the A95L is great, it's superb, details, colors, this and that, it's phenomenal, and it can't even get as bright as the G3 can, then why are you knocking the G3 and saying that the G3's gaming game mode is broken, when you're not saying that about the A95L? There's a lot of there's just a lot of hypocrisy there, especially when the G3 has the better gaming menu of all three TVs in the first place. So I can understand the argument where the gaming is brighter on the S95C over all three TVs, and that could be why you would choose that to be your gaming TV. But that's not personally what I would do. But that's just speaking specifically for brightness. But when it comes to the LG G3 and the A95L, they're both more on the dim side, no matter what you do in game mode. But again, I would still choose the G3 overall. So that's pretty much my take on everything, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I appreciate it. And it's tough because I do feel like Dolby Vision is a little bit broken on the A95L. I just, especially when you're looking at them side by side like this, you can just tell the blacks are really not supposed to be where they are. And it gives you a little bit of a green tint, raised green tint in the blacks at that. But especially when streaming, I saw banding, and it was quite noticeable. I don't really see it when you're playing a physical hard disk with Dolby Vision. But again, hopefully, there's a fix for that. Or maybe there is never going to be a fix. I don't know. But either way, that's my take on it. Thank you guys for all your support again. I hope you guys appreciate this video, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you.